Alright, I've got the supplement Forgotten Pacts for Frostgrave, and we're going to take a look at this and see what's in here and see what I think about it. Alright, here's the cover to Forgotten Pacts. It's written by the same person that wrote the Frostgrave game. And here's the back. And so this supplement looks like it's mainly about demons, summoning demons, and fighting demons. And there are some new creatures in this, some new spells, and some new soldiers, and there are some scenarios. And it's a soft cover, and it's a little over 70 pages. And of course, full color, and there is some pictures with the miniatures, and of course, some illustrations. So we'll go more in depth in this book and look kind of chapter by chapter and see what's in this. All right, here's the contents of the book. We have our introduction by the author, tells us kind of what this book is about. Forging packs, advanced summoning. We got some new magic, some new soldiers, some 4 scenarios, some new treasure, and of course some new creatures that could be added to the game. All right, forging packs, just like it sounds, kind of like making a deal with the devil. But you can't do it till a certain level, and that's right here. At level 10, you do it. And if you're successful, you get to choose to sacrifice in a boon. If you're unsuccessful, you take some damage. But you can also try it at 25 and level 50. Now, if you are successful, you have to take one of these sacrifices for each time you are successful forging the pack. And you can't take the same one twice. And there's such things as your health will be lower, you have to give up a spell, and so forth. But by doing that, you also then gain a boon for each one of those sacrifices you do. And that could be, it's harder to kill you if you go down a certain limit, like a negative, like the 5 health deal, below 5 health. You're okay. You get to re-roll on the treasure table, or you get to re-roll a die, and so forth, or you may even get a demon to help you that can't be controlled by the other player with a bind demon spell. So that's basically what this chapter is about, is if you want to go that route, you can do it. You're going to take a penalty for doing it, but you're also gaining a bonus. All right, the advanced summoning section is giving you more variety of demons you could summon in the game, as shown in this chart here. And not only is it minor or major, something like that, but there's also these demonic attributes, which could be a minor or major. And that has to do with this. And so if it's a minor attribute, you'll just roll once. Both these tables you only roll once. And this is what that demon has. So for example, if it has armored hide, it gets +1 to its armor stat. If it's chameleonic, I guess that's how you say it, basically no figure can see it more than 12 inches away. Can't draw a line of sight to it. So your demons that you summon out of the game, or you can say any demon, if you agree, that's put in the game can have these attributes, that's allowed. So this is the minor one, and then the major one is right here. And so, like, it could have acidic blood, and that's kind of like the aliens. So when it's injured, they make a will roll, and they take 3 damage if it's 11 or less. Or it could be beautiful or blinding aura, and so forth. So it kind of adds a little variety to the demons than just, here's a greater demon, here's a minor one. And so that is what is in this section with advanced summoning. All right, there's a couple new spells. One is a demonic servant, which gives you a demonic servant, which is a new soldier in the game. You can add it to your warband. But but also there's this mystic brand, which is what this chapter is mostly about, is you can brand like tattoo, scars, or something like that, part of your warband. They can only have one of these, and it gives them special abilities, but they can also sacrifice that brand for a different ability. So there's two different types. There's the burning and devotional. Burning, as you see here, if they roll a 1 on a will roll, they go insane and they basically are uncontrolled from there. They just become like an NPC. They could also sacrifice it to deal 1 extra damage. But if they don't do that, they would have one of these abilities. So you can put a mark of rage on one of your people in your warband, and they get a +2 move, or +2 fight, and so forth. Now there is a limitation on this, and that's over here. It cannot be a spellcaster, demon, undead, constructor, animal that gets this brand. So you can't even cast it on your wizard, can't even cast it on himself. Now devotional marks are a little different in that you get a +1 to will, and you can sacrifice it to get the +3 to will. And there's some nice things here, like you're never counted as wounded, or you get +2 fight and +1 armor when fighting undead, or prevent up to 3 damage by sacrificing, and so forth. So this section here adds these 2 new spells, but the main one is the Mystic Brand. You can kind of customize what your warband can have with just 1 spell. Alright, we got new soldiers, and this would be one of the reasons I would want one of these supplements, is just to add more variety to your warband. And they got some pretty interesting ones here. Assassin, basically, it doesn't support other characters in the fight, like you get a +2 or whatever for supporting, but it does receive support. But its main thing is if it wounds an opponent, it poisons that opponent, and that figure or miniature is reduced to 1 action per turn until it's healed. Demon hunters, basically they get the plus to fight against demons. They do like +1 fight and +1 damage, but it could have a variable cost depending upon if you use demons or can cast demon spells. Demonic Servant, this is from that spell that I just covered in New Magic. Demonic Servant, the only way to get this guy is to cast that spell. And if you cast successfully and he's in your warband, any summoning spells you do are +1. He also gets a minor demonic attribute, like you could have tentacles or like chameleonic skin or whatever. So he gets one of those rolls on that table. Monk is, instead of a staff, he's got a bladed staff, which you can see right here. It +1 damage modifier, but it -1 for the damage. So it's a little different. Staff is -1 to both you and the opponent. This one, you do a +1, and it still does -1 to the opponent. And finally, Mystic Warrior is basically unarmed fighters, and their hands are considered magical. So they have a magical attack. And those are going to be your options for the new warriors. Alright, the first scenario, there's some amulets that you're trying to find. And so in this part 1, there's 3 parts to this one. Part 1, you basically split your warband in half, and only one of those halves go through this scenario, trying to find the amulet. This part 2 is the other half of your warband that wasn't in this one, then goes through this kind of same adventure, but a different setup, and tries to find the other amulet. So basically your warband is not together. You're splitting your warband into 2 parts, and you're only taking one of those parts to this one and the other part through the second adventure. And then the final part 3 is the big demon shows up, and can you take him out? But your opponent's also there. So you might have to actually work together to take out the demon. All right, scenario 2, you're traveling further into the city, and in this first one, you're basically attacked. This part 1, you're attacked by a bunch of barbarians. Can you get the treasure and survive the barbarian horde coming at you? Then the part 2 is you travel further in the city, and there's some stones with some strange runes, and there's blood and stuff, and you're trying to decipher the runes, and you're thinking this is why the barbarians are here. So you're trying to decipher the runes. So in the middle of the gaming table, there's some stones, and you have to get to that center, and only your wizard, I think, or apprentice, something like that, only those two, maybe only your wizard, can decipher what those stones are. So you're going to get more experience by deciphering the stones, but you also have the barbarian horde coming at you while you're trying to do this. And then the final scenario is there is a prince that's been captured, and you're trying to save him for some XP and some gold. So can you save the prince? You only have a certain number of turns to do it before he is sacrificed by the barbarians. So this is what scenario 2 is about. All right, scenario 3, there's no part 1, part 2, part 3. It's just this. Basically, you're on a 4-story building. You're up on a roof. There's some stairs and trapdoors on this level that are placed by the players. And that's basically how you're going to get off of this gaming table. You can't just walk off the edge, because then you're walking off the edge of the building and falling and splat. So you can walk off the edge if you have like a slow fall spell or something like that. Otherwise, you have to use the stairs and trapdoors to get down. And there's going to be demons coming in, and there's a way to stop them coming in, and that's a way you can get experience, is by stopping these demons coming in. So that's the Chamber of Horrors. It's limiting where your warbands can escape off the table. Normally it's table edge, this one only through stairs and the trapdoor. All right, scenario 4. There's no part 1, part 2, part 3. It's just this one. Basically, you've seen a glowing line, you've gone there, and it turns out there's a sphere in the center of the table, and you're trying to get to the sphere, but it's also attacking people, so you have to disable it and then try to get it off the table. But then a demon will come in, and barbarians are coming in. You also have to worry about your opponent. So can you get to the sphere, disable it, take it, and get off the table with it? All right, we got some new treasure also in this supplement. And here's the list of them right here. And I'm not going to go over what they do and all that, but you can see the names of them. There's also another table, and this is this ammunition, which is right here. So that is also added in this game. So this will allow you not only your base Frostgrave rulebook magic items, you can start adding these into the game also. All right, we got a bestiary. This is going to be the encounter table you're going to use going through this adventure. But there's also a barbarian table over here. And really, what they added to this game was the barbarians, their caster for the barbarians and such, and also some new demons. So what do I think about this Forgotten Pacts? At first, when I was looking at what it's about, I was like, my warband doesn't summon demons, and so I don't see that this is going to be anything I'd really want. But the soldiers in here I am impressed with. I'm happy with those. I'm going to actually try to run those in some of my warbands. I like the assassin that if he just hits, he poisons the opponent, and they're down to 1 action now. That just seems pretty awesome to me. And the mystic warrior, that he's already got magic weapons in his hands, that you don't have to worry about things that can only be attacked by magic weapons. He can go after them. I like that too. Another thing is always nice to have new variety of magic items. So you get plenty of selection with that. And the scenarios. I was actually kind of surprised that the different things you have to do in these scenarios, it isn't just collect treasure and run off table. That there was the one where you're trying to show off the orb, or where you can only escape down these certain areas on the table. And you're trying to get to these gems to or stones or whatever to read them. So you get the XP for reading these stones and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. So even if you're not into where your character summons demons or whatever, I still see worth in this from just the soldiers, magic items, and scenarios. So I'm planning to use some of this stuff in my game.